A man is in police custody after endangering airline passengers. Rural hospitals in Enga test scanning devices. And Kumuls coach blames lack of preparedness for their loss.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and thanks for joining me with Wednesday's news. In a serious breach of the Civil Aviation Act, a man forcefully entered an Air Niugini plane yesterday at Momote Airport in Manus Province to prevent his wife and child from travelling out of the province. He is now in police custody. According to Loringa Police, the wife was already seated in the aircraft with the couple's 2-year-old daughter when her husband pushed through airport security and passengers to board the aircraft. EMTV's Vanessa Knight reports.
Any conduct made by unauthorized persons within the boundaries of a declared aerodrome land, including airports and aircrafts, are strictly regulated by laws and protocols. Of the Civil Aviation Act 2000, which carries a possible 5,000 kina fine or 6 months imprisonment for willfully obstructing or inciting aviation officers, and a possible 14-year imprisonment term for threatening members of the crew and causing violence or injury within the vicinity of the aircraft. Further charges pertaining to the incident can be laid by the victim under the Criminal Code for assault or grievous bodily harm, to which the penalty amounts to a further 7 years imprisonment. The victim is said to have suffered multiple facial injuries from the beating, but was allowed to go home after seeking medical attention at the local hospital. National Airports Corporation's Chief Operating Officer, Sylvester Kanatsi, confirmed the incident but was not able to comment further. Police say the family was escorted off the plane shortly after, and the husband was immediately apprehended by airport security and handed over to police, who later arrived at the scene. He is currently detained in the Loringa police cells waiting to be charged. Vanessa Knight, National EMTV News.
The need for journalists to better understand and report gender-based violence stories, especially the rape cases, is a must so as to bring the perpetrators to justice. This has seen the Consultative Implementation and Monitoring Council, or CIMC, conducting 3 days of workshop with Madang's media personnel. MTV's Rachel Shise reports from Madang.
The 3 days workshop, aimed at Madang's media personnels, is to help journalists discuss and go through what gender-based violence is and the different aspects of it and how it's affecting people's lives.
Basically, the purpose is to also build the capacity of the media personnel in Madang so that they can be agents of change also in their own organizations, reporting and also finding ways to actually tell the world about the messages that individual lives, what they are facing in their lives, especially the survivors and victims.
Uro also stated that with the rate of gender-based violence cases, especially the rape cases, the need to get the media to say the right things and be proactive is a positive way forward.
If you put together from Care International's statistics, all these other diseases like malaria and all these others, you put all these other diseases that kill people or take their lives of people, still lower than the amount or the number of people who are dying from gender-based violence. So definitely, yeah, it's in a way the source of unity in the family, and we are here to address that, and media are there to actually be a partner for that voice, the unsung voice from the survivors.
Media personnel have expressed their concerns about the barriers of reporting gender-based violence stories.
Mi play no sabe tumas lo wonem kainol all avenues or wonem road mi plaken behind lo sosim information. A lot of times we just rely on the police or wonem information mi plaksim kam lo police to report him all issues on gender-based violence or GBV. Plenty time we don't follow up also on stories that we ourselves break. First place one time on police.
How to write a story and put it in a proper perspective. Have it clear in both sides. of the story.
Concerns by the media personnel were taken into account by the CIMC representatives who conducted the workshop in partnership with Medang's Provincial Women's Council and the Family and Health International 360. Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Medang.
When it comes to dry spells in drought-affected areas, all eyes are up to the sky, but agriculture experts say that at least part of the drought solution is not above us, but below us in the soil. The National Agricultural Research Institute at Karavat in East New Britain Province revealed that preserving soil moisture will help reduce chances of crops dying during a longer drought period. MTV's Edwin Fidelis reports.
Making gardens under a canopy of trees may not be a usual thing for a farmer to do, but in severe drought conditions, such as the current prolonged dry spell experienced in various regions around the country, planting crops under shaded trees is a safety measure taken to utilize soil moisture that has been preserved in undisclosed environment like this. John Bokoso of Nari's Agriculture Research Station at Karavat is adding this drought project, focusing on locating damp areas that is suitable to help crops survive drought.
Because by providing marulungan na or leave by pulling on down passing on hospital on taros in March. Okay, narabla. Suppose you got drain or some display. Plus water start longin. Me play planning to this taro aninit long inside or is a drain because inside it's still full of moisture.
At another demonstration plot, this banana patch is overgrown with weeds. The reason is simple. The weeds help reduce direct soil exposure to sunlight that may cause the soil to lose its moisture, causing plants to die as a result. While the main focus is to produce enough food supply, Nari is also looking at maintaining a constant supply of planting materials that can be preserved and used over time.
We are planting it here to preserve it. And we have 5 of these cassava, they are drought-tolerant varieties, which is also included in this plot.
The Agriculture Institute is also cultivating and providing hybrid drought-tolerant crops like cassava, sweet potatoes and taro with very short yielding time.
NARI has, through its research, documented some early maturing sweet potato varieties which can mature within 2 months.
NARI is now pushing for this concept to be adopted by drought-affected areas that are slowly beginning to lose their food supply to the current nature's onslaught. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
A drought assessment conducted by a joint committee of government stakeholders has indicated that New Guinea Islands region is on the Category 3 of the drought phenomenon. The report revealed that atolls and outer islands are facing severe food and water shortage and waterborne diseases. The report stated that a total of 16 million kina will be needed for immediate relief of food and water supply to the affected areas in the region. The report was part of the national government's rapid drought assessment in the NGI region.
People need to be prepared. And from the assessment we've just gone through, what we have experienced, we've learned is that most of parts of New Guinea Islands are in Category 2 and towards 3. Category 3 is conditions are difficult, with food reduced and some famine food being eaten, and water availability is at distance. So drastic actions or coping strategies are required for all the New Guinea Island provinces to address the situation, and it needs help from everyone.
Among stories coming up after this break, top NCD cop Andy Bauer hands over the reins to his successor. Stay with us. Good to have you back with National MTV News. The opposition is demanding explanations why a ban has been imposed preventing lawyers representing the National Fraud and Anti-Corruption Directorate from entering the country. Opposition leader Don Polya says this ban and the suspension of 2 senior police officers at the same time is suspicious. Polya alleged that both incidents involved officers directly facilitating a case for a warrant of arrest against Prime Minister Peter O'Neill.
The opposition leader says the travel ban against Australian-based lawyers Greg Egan and Terence Lambert from travelling into PNG to represent the National Fraud and Anti-Corruption Directorate in a court case against the Prime Minister is not of national interest. Mr. Polya says the actions of the Immigration Department to prevent foreign advisors and consultants from entering the country and critique on the state of the economy, politics and developments is a sign that the government is hiding factual information.
Now recently, the Prime Minister and his government have banned the entry of these lawyers into Papua New Guinea. Now that is unacceptable. The justice system of Papua New Guinea should be concerned about this. And every citizen of this country must stand up against what is not right.
Polya alleged that the suspension of Thomas Elu and Timothy Gitua at the same time the travel ban was imposed creates an atmosphere of suspicion. He said this undermines basic principles of democracy, including freedom of movement and speech.
If there's a media that's coming in that might expose the rotten part of Papua New Guinea's governance, then they don't allow them to come in or make it difficult for them to report. Or if there are lawyers who come in to pursue a case against Prime Minister and those leaders who have abused the offices, then the government's attitude is get rid of them or ban them from coming.
The opposition leader says these recent developments have to be verified by the government. Kikori MP Mark Mapakai says the sequence of events are suspicious and people have to make judgments.
Do the right thing by reporting.
Meanwhile, Police Commissioner Gary Bucky says the 2 suspended officers has nothing to do with politics but is purely an administrative discipline. MTV inquired for response from the Prime Minister's department but was not successful. Quinten Alom, National MTV News.
On that note, Chief Immigration Officer Mataya Rabura says the 2 Australian lawyers were prevented because they have been entering PNG on business visas but have in fact been engaged in employment. Rabura says the 2 are welcome to apply for employment visas to be recognized in the country. Andy Bauer, now former NCD Metropolitan Superintendent, was officially replaced by Benjamin Turi today. Bauer, with 18 years of experience in the constabulary, served as Metsup since February 2013. The handover takeover ceremony took place at the Baroko Police Station. The constabulary changes are part of Police Commissioner Gary Bucky's move to implement effective nationwide policing. The formalities began with a marching parade of police officers from NCD and NCDC. While inspecting the Guard of Honour before his farewell speech, supporters of outgoing Metsup, Andy Bauer, protested his removal one final time.
Public establishment respecting farewell parade ng Mr. Bauer. Street talks and speculations about the internal reshuffles within the constabulary have now been settled. Like I said earlier, I'm not the best choice or the favorite choice. I commend both previous commissioners, Tom Kalunga and Jeffrey Vaki, for having the trust and confidence in me as Metsup.
Bauer said one of the main positives since taking up the post was the prosecution of police officers involved in the brutal attack of 74 men at 6 Mile in 2013. He said the officers are likely to be suspended and convicted. Then, in a significant exchange ceremony, Bauer handed a sword to now Metropolitan Superintendent Benjamin Turi to depict the official handover. Andy Bauer will transfer to Mount Hagen to replace Deputy Divisional Commander Jimmy Onopia, who will take up Director of Prosecutions at the Konedobu headquarters. But EMTV understands that Mr. Onopia declined his transfer. However, the Office of the Commissioner replied saying no declines will be entertained. The new NCD Metropolitan Superintendent, Benjamin Turi, from Sepik and New Ireland, previously headed the Rabal Queen inquiry. With 2 decades in the force, Turi says police brutality and ill discipline are problems that he'll be addressing.
We start from inside the constabulary, counseling of members, and we will see how our members, why our members are behaving. First and foremost, we clean our backyard. A lot of our police officers have been involved in such activities. Yep. They've been involved in getaway of robbery suspects. They've been involved in robbery. They're involved in bad activities like boy smuggling. This is the issue, because once our men behave well, have the self-control, have the good mindset, positive thinking, then police brutality will slowly go away.
The constabulary changes are part of the broader move by Police Commissioner Gary Bucky to implement effective nationwide policing. The acting top management of the University of Goroka will organise a referendum for the academic staff to vote for the recommencement of classes. This was revealed after executive deans of the university held a meeting with the university's acting top management yesterday. The Electoral Commission office in Goroka will execute the polling for staff to vote in the coming days.
The recommencement of classes for this semester at the University of Goroka is still in doubt despite few academics starting lectures today. Yesterday, the executive deans of the university resolved that classes will begin next Monday, with some academics calling for a polling to decide the semester's fate. Other decisions from the meeting include urgent removal of terminated students who continue to reside on campus, staff to assess damage caused to their offices and report to the acting top management for maintenance. This would also include personal items. Meanwhile, the investigation committee into the UOG saga released a statement saying over 25 people have been interviewed and only 10 remain before the report is finalized and presented to Higher Education Minister Malakai Tabar. It's nearly 2 months now since students boycotted classes, which later led to the current unrest at the UOG campus. MTVS also confirmed that the recently appointed acting Vice-Chancellor Dr. John Kola has been admitted to the Goroka Hospital and will be flown to Port Moresby for further medical observation. In the meantime, the acting Pro-Vice-Chancellor Dr. Samuel Kopamu will step in to deal with current issues. The polling for the academic staff is expected to be conducted before end of this week. Jack Lapave Jr., National MTV News.
Referendum will be an agenda highly discussed in future joint supervisory body meetings between the national government and the autonomous Bougainville government. That's from President John Momis, who says referendum is the way forward for Bougainville's prosperity as the autonomous region prepares for full autonomy. MTV's Fabian Hakalitz reports.
Focus is referendum, an agenda that will formulate decisions for full autonomy. This includes the drawdown of powers, tax revenue collections, special intervention funds and high-impact development projects. Yesterday marked the first 100 days since the formation of the third Bougainville House of Representatives. ABG President-Chief Dr. John Momis in his ministerial statement says several important initiatives will be implemented to strengthen the public service machinery. ABG's planning and budgeting framework will be guided by the Bougainville Peace Agreement. Approved development priorities sectors are economic development 28%, social sector 23%, planning and administration 13%, law and order 8%, infrastructure 18%, and rural development 10%. Momis says ABG will foster better and creative measures of development for Bougainville's referendum. Fabian Hakalitz, National MTV News.
And now let's check out the finance news. The Kina closed unchanged at $0.3485 in the interbank market today. At Bank South Pacific, our Kina was trading at $0.3410 $0.4836 Australian dollars, €40.2996 and 40.49 Japanese yen. Taking a look at commodity prices at New York close, gold and cocoa closed the day lower, while coffee and copper closed higher. Palm oil closed higher as well, while crude oil and copper closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 47 points higher, the ASX closed at 195 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 187 points lower. Colgate-Palmolive donates for cancer awareness. Also, Rural Hospital tests new scanning devices. Those stories and more after this break. Stay with us. Thanks for your company and welcome back to the news. Medical experts say 2 women die each day from cervical cancer in PNG. Calls have now been made by a survivor of cervical cancer for all women and young girls to get pap smear checks for cervical cancer. October is Women's Breast Cancer Month, and already corporate organizations like Colgate-Palmolive are donating money for cancer education.
Caroline Enau, from a mixed parentage of Central and New Island Province, is a survivor of cervical cancer. She was diagnosed in November 2012. After experiencing over 3 weeks of discomfort, she made her way to the hospital, and after the doctor carried out the pap smear test, she was confirmed to stage 1 cervical cancer. After the results, she continues regular checkups, and she is now cleared from the deadly disease. Today, Caroline stands as a proud survivor of cervical cancer and is encouraging all women and young girls to get a pap smear test and be aware of the status.
So for me, trying to tell my story as a way of encouraging, especially young women, to have regular checks was important for me. So that's what I've started doing. And
the Institute of Medical Research estimates that 2 women die every day from cervical cancer in PNG, and 1 out of 10 deaths in the country is cancer-related. PNG Cancer Foundation Chief Executive Officer Daddy Toka Jr. says the month of October is dedicated to raising awareness on breast cancer for women.
We're doing a lot of work on primary prevention at the moment. We've targeted 6 provinces to cover this year, and so far we've done 5 provinces, and we've got 1 more province to cover.
To continue the fight against cancer, Colgate-Palmolive Limited, a main advocate for mouth cancer, has thrown its support with a 10,000 kina funding to carry out awareness next month.
But in addition to that, we also assist the PNG Cancer Foundation throughout the year with oral healthcare checks.
Mr. Wood says 5 toya of every Colgate-Palmolive products are headed to the contribution for cancer awareness. Quinton Alomp, National EMTV News.
A diet full of organic food is one of the best things that can be done to maintain a healthy heart. One cardiologist says PNG is rich in organically grown food, and Papua New Guineans should focus on eating more of them to maintain a healthy diet.
This land is really blessed. Whatever harm you are doing to yourself.
The theme of this year's World Heart Day is Heart Healthy Environment. An important part of building a heart-healthy environment is access to organic food that is good for the heart. The chief cardiosurgeon of private hospital Pacific International Hospital says Papua New Guineans already have one thing in their favor: an abundance of organically grown food.
Heart-healthy diet which is rich in fiber. Lot of fruits, lot of vegetables, no red meat, no pork. You can take small fish, smoked fish that contains omega-3 fatty acids, which is cardiac protective.
Food that is good for a healthy heart can be found all over the country and can be easily included in a healthy diet. They include mackerel, avocado, beans, peas, potatoes, broccoli, peanuts, tomatoes, and a range of citrus fruits. According to Dr. Sharma, since Pacific International Hospital's setup of their cardio treatment unit early this year, they have seen heart patients in PNG who are younger compared to other countries.
The heart disease here in PNG starts at a much younger age, a decade and a decade half before what I have experienced and seen in other parts of the world.
Early detection is part of the preventative measures that can be taken to avoid serious heart diseases. This morning, Moa and her husband took advantage of PIH healthy heart checks, which included cholesterol checks and electrocardiogram tests.
Here they're offering something very, very good for us as professionals in each and every one of our people. We get really busy that we don't take care of our bodies properly.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Well, 7 selected rural hospitals in the Enga province have taken part in a first-of-its-kind program to test portable scanning devices. Catholic-run Yampu Health Centre is one of the facilities in Kompiam that has received the scanning device to use on pregnant mothers. The device aims to reduce the amount of deaths happening during birth complications. MTV's Bethany Harriman reports from Enga province.
Church-run rural hospitals in Papua New Guinea are often the place where mothers go to deliver their babies. Catholic-run Yampu Health Centre in Kompiam acts as a rural hospital for over 20,000 people. The health centre is the first point of contact for pregnant mothers who often deliver their babies there as well.
And I must say 95% of mothers attending our antenatal clinic and deliver in our center. More serious cases, we have to transfer to Wabak Hospital or other centers to other.
Recently, a new scanning device produced by American company General Electronics was given to the center for a 2-year pilot program. The mobile phone-sized device gives an accurate image of the growth, development and position of the baby in the mother's womb. That information is vital for health professionals when monitoring the child's progress and for a safe delivery during birth for the mothers. 2 American doctors brought in by Tribal Foundation have been in the province to help medical officers understand the product.
This gives you portability. It gives you a very good image. The image is really as good as a standard advanced portable unit, non-portable unit. The screen's a little bit smaller, but you get used to that pretty quickly.
The Enga Provincial Health Authority is supporting the rule-based program. Doctors from Wabek Hospital are also using the device, and Sapos District Hospital will be visiting rural health centers to assist in the project.
You have antenatal mothers coming in for clinics. You have people with tumors in various parts of their bodies. You may have people coming in with fractures. So these devices can be used for scanning those type of patients, but the challenge for us now would be to actually take time to train and have training workshops, provide resources.
Statistics show that Papua New Guinea has one of the highest rates of infant maternal mortality in the region and maybe the world. Approximately 733 women die during childbirth out of 100,000 live births. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Wabeg.
Well, National EMTV News continues with Trukai Sports coming up next and a review of the Kumuls performance in the Prime Minister's 13. Stay tuned for that.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Kumuls Prime Minister's 13 coach Stanley Tepend said one reason for their loss last weekend was because there was not enough time to prepare. One factor that helps in a team's performance is preparation. He says it will be better to have the team in camp and in training well before the game.
This year, the Kumuls had only a week of training before the PM's 13 match.
The short week we had, we spent 3 of those days in defense and then 2 in attack, and the rest around it in between was just team spirit building.
Players in this year's team were all from the local Intercity Cup competition. Stanley also said If we are going to stick to the same selection process of picking players from the Intercity Cup, then the team should be announced earlier.
We give the local boys a chance. I think we have to get them and pick the team early, so then they can start training early and then they get into camp early. I think that's the most focus. Preparation is a big thing in this big game, so I think that's a big thing.
PNG may have a better Kumuls team in the future, with talent rising from the local league and the Hunters.
Look, we are here, and it's a good mixture to go forward with the Kumuls. Having that mixture with the Hunters and the overseas, plus the locals, I think they're going to have a good side in the Kumuls in the future.
Elijah Lavet, National EMTV Sports.
A number of debutants in the Kangaroo side that took on the Kumuls in the recent Prime Minister's 13th clash at the weekend saw that rugby league was more of a religion than a sport. Kangaroo skipper Trent Merrin shared his thoughts in a press conference after the match.
Merrin said the experience has opened up a new perspective on how Papua New Guineans love their rugby league.
I think it makes you appreciate it a lot more coming here, and I think we drove past footy field yesterday and seen sticks for the cross posts, and it really opens up your eyes to how they do appreciate rugby league here, and yeah, it makes you very humble, and we love the fact that they treat rugby league as a tradition here.
Children from a number of public schools in the city also had the opportunity to learn basic rugby league skills from the Kangaroos through the League Belong Life program. The Kangaroo skipper was full of praise of development programs, adding that it was an aspect of their careers that they enjoyed. When asked of his thoughts on rugby league in PNG, he said that as a first-time visitor to the country, he was thrilled with the code's popularity.
It was absolutely incredible. I think when we got on the bus, just driving here and seeing the fans and coming into the crowd and the way they accepted us and cheered us and booed us too, it was there's something that each and every player in our team is definitely going to take a piece of tonight and cherish it for the rest of their career.
For a number of them, this was their first visit to the country and not their last. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
To NRL, Brisbane Broncos captain Justin Hodges is cleared to lead the Broncos into their 7th grand final after being found not guilty of a Grade 1 dangerous throw at the NRL judiciary last night. Hodges had been charged for a dangerous tackle on Roosters forward Aidan Guerra in their match last weekend, but following the hearing, he has been given the green light to play in Sunday's grand final against the North Queensland Cowboys. Well, True Kai Sports continues after this break. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome back to True Kai Sports. PNG women's football coach Gary Phillips believes beating New Zealand is not an impossible task. Although they are seen as one of the biggest threats for PNG to qualify for the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio, Phillips says it is not an impossible task.
New Zealand poses as a huge hurdle but not an unchallengeable one to Papua New Guinea for the Oceania slot at the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. PNG are the current Pacific Games champions in women's football, although New Zealand is favourites to qualify for the Olympic Games.
A goal! Yes, it is! Marie Kaipu has opened the...
PNG women's football coach Gary Phillips says even though New Zealand is a powerful team, the team is set to refocus and take their games to the next level in the next few months to be more competitive. In their last meet, PNG lost 3-0, and since then, Phillips believes he has a better team and is still getting better. The team also has a few new faces who he believes will definitely improve the team's dynamics. The current squad completed a 3-week training camp in Lae and are setting their focus now on New Zealand, where they will play a home and an away match for qualification to the Olympic Games. Dion Kombeng, National EMTV Sports.
Papua New Guinea's women's national under-20 team will face New Zealand in the Olympic qualifiers, but the All Whites will not be their only threat. The Women's Under-20 World Cup is set to be hosted in the country next year, and 8 of the 16 teams, including PNG, have already qualified.
2 of the continental federations throughout FIFA's 6 world affiliates have already completed the qualification process.
From the Asian region, Japan and both North and South Korea have already qualified. Japan themselves are no strangers to the international stage, having had good runs throughout previous World Cups, albeit at senior level. South Korea, through the success of their men's national team, are also expected to be strong, while North Korea are still dark horses. All three, however, had longer qualifications than the hosts. From UEFA or the European level, France, Germany, Spain and Sweden have also confirmed spots. Each of these four countries will be expected to perform extremely well, with the fact that they have had continuous competition and many of their players already play with top clubs in Europe. The African, Central, North and South American continents have yet to complete their qualification stages. And while PNG women's coach Gary Phillips is confident PNG will do well against New Zealand, he has a tough task. This is especially serious considering that Papua New Guinea does not have any major women's tournaments or a current youth competition that sees talent in constant competition. Winning the World Cup on home soil is a dream for every country that has ever hosted a World Cup. But the chances of PNG advancing past the group stage in the tournament is a formidable and daunting, if not impossible, task at the moment. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
The PNG Sports Foundation has been running grassroots programs for sports development in the country since before the Pacific Games. The aim of this sports program is to increase access to sport participation for youth at the grassroots level. MTV's Mike Koime reports.
The PNG Games, sometimes referred to as the grassroots games, have been the main drive for athletes being recognized at the national level. It has brought out raw talent from youth all over the 22 provinces, which during the Pacific Games was extremely successful for PNG.
A handful of athletes that did very well during the Games came from the grassroots, and those are the athletes that we identified through the PNG Games. And PNG Games is a great concept that has really driven behavior at the community level. And a lot of people are excited at the community, they're excited, and they're all raring to go.
The grassroots sports program is a program carried out at the provincial and district level, which is supported by the PNG Sports Foundation to capture the development benefits of sports participation itself by strengthening sports system.
This program, which basically is a sport education program, which I'm directly in charge of, with a handful of national program managers as well as the regional officers. And what we basically do is to run sports education programs in the provinces in areas of sports administration, event management, and a bit of coaching, and many others as well.
The main aim for this program is to drive and use sports as a vehicle and entry point to address development challenges such as health, HIV, education, lifestyle skills, gender issues, crime, violence and community development. The program is delivered to in grassroots communities around PNG by the PNG Sports Foundation Sports Development Officers. Mike Koime, National MTV Sports.
To local rugby union, the Matagal Cup in Madang is gaining momentum since its inception in late 2000. The Cup Grand Final won by Karanas Brothers this season is again another of those success stories nurturing homegrown talents. MTV's Fabian Akalitz reports.
Karanas Brothers are the champions of the 2015 Matagal Cup Challenge. Brothers have proved their way to winning, defeating the Red Blacks 19-7. For 3 rows in a row, Brothers have qualified for the final. This emerging footage courtesy of the Brothers supporters in the Matagal tournament. Brothers scored the opening try, registering all 3 tries in the first half.
Nice one, here we go.
And they proved it, crowned as champions of the Matagal Cup. Fabian Akalitz, National MTV Sports.
Well, that's how we wrap up True Guy Sports tonight. Coming up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
True Guy Sports.
Look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In southern region, all centres relatively fine. In the Momasa region, Lake City to look forward to cloudy weather plus showers, a shower or two expected in Madang. In the New Guinea Islands region, all centres relatively fine except Buka to look forward to a shower or two. And lastly, in the Islands region, all centres showers, then morning fog. Well, that's been the news, sports and weather tonight. On behalf of the news crew, I'm Tokana Asavi Jr. Thanks for your company. You take care and stay happy. Good night.